So this week we're driving the Beijing X55. It is an SUV from Beijing. Beijing is basically a company that comes out of bike, BAIC. I'm sure you've heard of the brand bike. So they've started producing a different brand under the same umbrella. It's called Beijing, and this is the first product to come out of that. So what makes this car interesting is that it's a byproduct of an alliance between Beijing / bike and Mercedes-Benz / Daimler. So a lot of the things you'll see inside of this car are Mercedes-Benz. From a design perspective, they've gone very different with the design of this car. So from the front, the car really exudes electric car vibes if you look at the bumper as well as the headlights. So the headlights look like lightning bolts, funny enough. And it really does look like an EV, even though it's not. But the interesting thing is that Beijing says that the architecture and the chassis of the car is ready and prepared to go EV. So if they want to introduce that technology further down the line, we don't know how soon, the car is ready for that. And it's really just one of those designs that you either like or don't like. Personally, I'm not moved. It does nothing for me, but a lot of people that have seen the car and that have stopped me while driving the car actually do like the design. Alright, so from a driving perspective, obviously I've driven the car before. I drove the car about a month or two ago when it was first launched, and the one thing that stood out for me at the time was the engine. It's got a 1.5 litre turbo engine, and the engine for me was and still is very responsive. So the car is quite responsive. It really does move, and it surprises you. It doesn't feel like a 1.5 litre petrol engine, and obviously that's technology. That's the way things have gone these days. I can't confirm or deny. Well, Beijing cannot confirm or deny, and I can't either. So I did question them, and I said to them, okay, cool. Since this product is a byproduct of your venture with Mercedes-Benz, and it's got all these Mercedes-Benz bits and pieces and this and that, is this the same 1.5 litre engine that the Mercedes-Benz uses in their products, like the A-Class, the new C-Class, etc.? They wouldn't say anything about that, but engine is good. The only downside I've seen to this engine, obviously now after spending a bit of time with the car, is fuel economy. So this car is heavy on fuel. It's very heavy on fuel, and that is to be expected, especially if a small capacity engine is performing as well and as responsively as this does. So the side effect or the downside to that is obviously the car being heavy on fuel. So that's the one thing I don't like about the drive. Seeing the fuel gauge literally moving as you're driving, that's not nice. But in terms of the driving feel and the handling, the car really does feel well put together on the road. I must give them that. It feels solid, it feels well built, and that's the nice thing about this car. Yes, it does wear a Chinese badge, but it feels well put together, especially on the road when you're driving it. Okay, so let's talk about the interior in this car. That's the one thing that must be spoken about. Obviously, with the version I have here, it's got red leather seats, so the whole interior is red. And there's an interesting bit of information about these seats, and it's the fact that the design is Lamborghini inspired. So if you look at Lamborghini cars, you look at the Urus, you'll see the design and the shape of the seats in this car has been inspired by that. Obviously, the Chinese, they are very good at imitating things and reproducing things. So that's what they've done here, and they're very honest about that, which is good. The rear side of the car, for me, is another part of the car that's worth mentioning. And what makes it so special is that the size of this car is quite deceiving. So it looks like a medium-sized SUV, right? It doesn't look that big, but the amount of space and cabin room that you have in this car from front to back, obviously, people generally just look at the front and you don't really explore the back much. So we've spent some time exploring the back of this car, and it is very spacious. The best thing I can equate that rear side of the car to is it feels like you're in like something big, like an X7 or Mercedes-Benz GLS or something. That's how spacious it is. So having spoken about all the positives, there are some negatives which I've discovered during my time with the car, and it all comes down to workmanship. Things like the gear lever being slightly loose, as well as moisture from the rain getting trapped under the headlamps. Now, these little things may be unique to this unit right here specifically, And should you still be interested in the car, starting price here starts at 395,000 Rand.